And today we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is a really scary disease. It affects more than 35 million people worldwide. And it's true that Alzheimer's is common with age, but what I want you to know is that age doesn't mean you have to get Alzheimer's. And it's also true that certain people have the genes for Alzheimer's. But even though we can't control age and we can't control the gene, it still doesn't mean that we have to get Alzheimer's. There are things that we can do to prevent and avoid getting Alzheimer's despite our age and despite our genes. In fact, many of the things that we do for our heart actually also helps our brain. But the thing is that you have to start now. Don't wait for the symptoms to happen. Let's make the changes now to prevent it in the future. Your future self will thank you today. And if you know someone that already has symptoms, get them started now also so you can prevent it from getting worse. So let's talk about Alzheimer's. Before we talk about preventing it, let's talk about what it is. Well, actually, let's talk about what it isn't. It's not just regular old age difficulty with memory. It's not normal memory loss. Okay, so this means all of us are going to get to a place where we misplace our car keys. That's not Alzheimer's. We forget recent events. What did I have for dinner last night? That's not Alzheimer's. You might have difficulty finding a word. What's that word again? What's that word again? You might ask around, what's that word again? That's not Alzheimer's. That's normal memory loss. You might forget the name of an acquaintance. Who did we have dinner with again? Was it Michelle? Was it Rhonda? Again, normal memory loss. That's not Alzheimer's. I'm telling you, people who are really, really nervous every time you forget your car keys or your phone, that doesn't mean you have Alzheimer's, okay? That's normal memory loss. There's things you could do to strengthen that, but that's not Alzheimer's. So to get to Alzheimer's, we first have to talk about dementia. And dementia is when our memory starts to affect our daily living, right? Because you can have normal memory loss and still be a real estate agent, still be a banker, still be a mom, still get through your day. But dementia is when the memory starts affecting your ability to get through the day, affect your ability to manage your daily living. And so that's a physical change in the brain where there's difficulty communicating between the cells, and it really affects our daily living. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. It's just one form. It's the most common form, but it's just one form of dementia. So all Alzheimer's is dementia, but not all dementia is Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's has physical changes in the brain. And it starts off, one of the early signs of Alzheimer's is the difficulty learning new information or learning a new skill. So maybe you have someone at work and you're trying to teach them a skill and you have to teach it to them again and again and again. And they really have a hard time picking that up. That could be an early sign of Alzheimer's. And remembering new information. But then, of course, we know that Alzheimer's gets a little bit worse over time, right? Not a little bit worse. It gets worse over time. It's a gradual worsening. So we start with difficulty processing new information, but then as it gets more severe, we might have disorientation, confusion, behavior changes, and then eventually speaking, swallowing, and walking become an issue. And that's the progression of Alzheimer's. Until recently, we thought that Alzheimer's was just physical changes. We knew that patients with Alzheimer's had changes in their brain. They had these things called plaques and tangles. And so we thought, okay, there's these plaques and these tangles. If there's a way to fix that, then maybe we can get ahead of Alzheimer's. So the pharmaceutical companies have really been focused on these plaques and these tangles. But then we realized, okay, people have plaques and tangles or plaques for years before they develop symptoms. And in autopsies, we found that people had plaques and tangles, but never had symptoms of Alzheimer's. So what is it? What is the thing that takes this physical change in the brain and turns on these Alzheimer's symptoms? Well, the evidence shows that the thing is inflammation. And we've talked about inflammation before, but now we're going to talk about inflammation in your brain, inflammation and Alzheimer's. This is mind-blowing because this is the reason why Alzheimer's is not inevitable. If we can control inflammation, we can prevent Alzheimer's from starting or progressing. This is why I want you to start now. And if you know someone that has it, I want you to start now as well so that they don't get worsened. So inflammation is the key. It means that we could do something about it. Now remember, there's two kinds of inflammation. The good kind, the acute kind, we need that inflammation. So not all inflammation is bad. If we fall and hurt ourselves and the area gets swollen, that's good inflammation. That helps us heal. We're talking about chronic inflammation over time that starts to affect our brain. And so now, when we talk about the 5 ways to prevent Alzheimer's, we're talking about the 5 ways to prevent inflammation. So let's go. Let's see what they are. The very first one, wait, first, I always forget a button, presenting you the button of 5 ways to prevent Alzheimer's. Now moving on. The very first one, and don't roll your eyes, it is what it is. You need to upgrade your diet. You need to upgrade it. And if up until now, me talking about the diet hasn't gotten you off the couch and hasn't gotten you moving, this talk should. Because this, I'm going to talk to you about how diet affects your brain. And if that doesn't scare you, nothing will. So upgrade your diet. You have to decide, is food your medicine or is it your poison? And I'm going to tell you something. If you're not actively thinking of food as your medicine, then it is 100% your poison. If every time you decide what you're putting in your mouth, you're not saying to yourself, is this as good as medicine? Is this going to be healing? Is this going to be protective? If you're not making that conscious decision each and every time that you eat, then your food is poisoning you. I guarantee it. I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. I know you don't want to hear about the diet, but it is what it is. The connection between a poor diet and inflammation is so strong. And let me tell you this. Type 2 diabetics are 2 times more likely to get Alzheimer's. Does that mean the diabetes cause Alzheimer's? No. It means the diet that caused the diabetes is also causing the Alzheimer's. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have diabetes, I'm good, I'm not going to get Alzheimer's, then you missed the point. The diet is causing the Alzheimer's. The same diet that causes diabetes causes Alzheimer's. That inflammation, that connection between food and the brain is so strong. In fact, there's a growing trend that's calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, because type 2 affects the whole system and type 3 affects the brain. So Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. So the same things that you're associating and the sugar and the carbs with diabetes, I want you to start thinking about your brain. And like I said, if nothing I ever said kind of encouraged you to start making a change, this talk should terrify you. I know it terrifies me. Let me explain why. Let me take a moment to get a little technical, and then we'll get untechnical again. Okay? There are these things called advanced glycation end product. And the acronym is AGES, which is a really good acronym because it actually ages you. It's when a group of molecules, we have sugar attached to a protein, and we have these in our body. And as long as we have a little bit and we can get rid of it, we're balanced, we're good. If we have too much of it, guess what? It actually ages us, and it ages our brain. And guess how we get it? By eating a lot of carbs and sugar. So if you have hyperglycemia, a lot of carbs and sugar, your insulin is not balanced, you're going to have more of these AGEs. You're going to have a harder time getting rid of them. So here's the bottom line. Let me uncomplicate it for you again. The French toast, the ice cream, the big bowl of pasta with a big bottle of wine, all of that is causing insulin resistance, which is causing inflammation in your brain, which can lead to Alzheimer's. Uncomplicated as it is. So, and you get stuck in a cycle, right? Because you're having the carbs, which raises your insulin. And guess what insulin does? It makes you hungrier and want more carbs. So you go get more carbs, which raises your insulin. So you get stuck in this carb loop. And I'm imploring you to get out of this loop because it's hurting your brain. So what does this good way of eating look like? How do I get it? So the first thing is we know we have to remove the bad stuff. We have to remove the carbs. We have to remove the sugars. But we have to put in the good stuff. I need you all to eat the rainbow. And I don't mean Skittles. Okay? So when I say eat the rainbow, I mean phytonutrients. Okay? So I need you to eat the plants of all different colors, the reds, the greens, the purples, the yellows. You need to eat the rainbow because that is how food is your medicine. That is how it You bring all these phytonutrients to help you and your brain. The second thing you need, let me see if I missed any buttons. No, I didn't. Good. The second thing you need, right? So we said eat the rainbow. You need fats, good fats. 70% of your brain is actually fat. Fat is critical for brain function. It helps the connection between the cells. So you need that, especially omega-3. You need olive oil, avocado, nuts, seeds, and I said omega-3. And there's something called MCT oil. If you don't have it, if you've never heard of it, go out and buy some. It's really a super fat, and it helps that connection between the cells that I was talking about. It helps keep them talking, and it reduces inflammation. Now remember, when I say fat, I mean good fat. I don't mean cream cheese on a bagel. I don't mean margarine. I mean good quality fat that helps your brain going. Also, you might want to consider intermittent fasting. I'm not going to get into it here. I did a talk on it. Find it on our website or on our Facebook. But intermittent fasting is great as part of an Alzheimer prevention protocol. Let's move on to the second thing, exercise. I know I talk about exercise just about every week, but now I have to connect it to you, to your brain. I've talked to you about it with stress. I've talked to you about it with sleep. I've talked about it with leaky gut. I need you to know how it affects your brain, because something eventually is going to make you decide that it's time to exercise. And when I say exercise, I don't mean you have to go and get gear and a cute outfit. And I don't mean we have to join an expensive gym. I'm just saying move, start moving. In fact, the studies show that just walking decreases your Alzheimer risk, just walking. And I want to tell you why that is. And here's another button. I'm not going to miss any of my buttons this week. Challenge accepted. Okay. So this is why. When you walk, you release this thing called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Basically, miracle grow for your brain. So you walking releases miracle grow for your brain. That's supposed to say brain, not brain, but maybe I need some more. And it helps you prevent Alzheimer's. So again, when I say exercise, it's great if you can get more in, but at the very least, get off the couch. Not in the middle of my show though. When you're done with the live, or take me with you, get off your couch, get out of your seat, and go take a walk and get that BDNF going. All right. So we talked about changing your diet, eating the rainbow, getting exercise, just moving. Let's talk about sleep. Again, I've talked about sleep before, and I've told you how it's important with every other aspect of your life. But let me tell you how critical it is for your brain. It is so critical. Sleep and lack of sleep is a risk factor for Alzheimer. I need you to hear what I'm saying. Not sleeping may actually be a part and the cause of Alzheimer's. I need you to sleep. Solid sleep. Not on the phone sleep, not waking up in the middle to finish the TikTok video that you didn't finish. Sleep. Solid sleep. And I'm not going to get into how to get a good sleep because, of course, I did a talk on it. So go ahead and watch that. But here's the bottom line. What you do in the day affects your night. So if you're going to have 3 shots of espresso at 3 p.m. and then expect to get a good night's sleep, not going to happen. If your last meal is a big bowl of pasta and a large bottle of wine and you expect to get a good night's sleep, not going to happen. Make the decisions during the day that are going to allow you to sleep at night, because sleep can help prevent Alzheimer's. If you have sleep apnea, that's an even bigger deal. Sleep apnea, for those of you who don't know it, is when you have moments at night that you actually stop breathing. And guess what? That causes a lot of stress on your heart, on your body, and on your brain. So if you're not sure if you have sleep apnea, go get tested. And if you know you have sleep apnea, go get the machine. Let's go. I need you sleeping so that we don't have to trigger Alzheimer's later on. But even if you don't suffer from sleep apnea, I want you to understand that not sleeping is a really big deal and really big risk factor for Alzheimer. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the next button, I told you I'm not skipping my buttons this time. There is a system in your brain called the glymphatic system. It's a pretty new system. It was just coined in 2013. And it's basically drains the waste from your brain. And guess when it's active? At night, when you're sleeping, this glymphatic system activates and kind of takes the waste out of your brain. And if you don't get that solid sleep, it's not happening. and then you're carrying it over into the next day. So we really need to activate that lymphatic system in order to keep it clean and fresh and get us going for the next day. And that brings us to the next way to prevent Alzheimer's and the way to prevent overall inflammation, and that's stress. And we have a whole talk about it with adrenal fatigue. But once again, let's see how it affects us with Alzheimer's. So there's a few reasons why stress can be linked to dementia. First of all, it affects our immune system. And anything that affects our immune system is going to affect inflammation, and inflammation is going to affect our brain. But stress is also connected to depression and anxiety. And guess what? Depression and anxiety are linked to Alzheimer's. And stress also affects our cortisol levels. And guess what cortisol levels does? It affects our memory and our cognitive ability. So many things about stress connect us to cognitive impairment and potentially to Alzheimer's. So what do we need to do? Well, here's the thing about stress. So the stress can cause a disease, but then we have the disease and we're stressed about the disease, so we're stressed even more. And that's another loop that we have to break. We have to break the stress cycle because it causes a disease and then worsens the disease, causes it and worsens. So I'm not going to do a whole talk right now about stress, but you already know mindfulness, meditation, prayer. Give yourself permission for self-care. Use lists. Don't keep overtaxing. Use lists and forget the idea of multitasking. That actually doesn't work. Part of reducing your stress is not trying to get it all done at once. Use a list, get focused, do one thing at a time, reduce your stress. And of course, the last but not least is supplements. And I always want to be careful. Supplements is not instead of everything else we talked about. It's together with, it's part of this complete breakfast. Don't think that if you're just going to take one supplement, boom, you're never going to get Alzheimer's. It's not going to happen. You need to change your diet. You need to move. You need to walk. You need to do all the things I just talked about and add the supplements. There's a million supplements, of course. I'm going to focus on 4 that are really important. A multivitamin. Everyone should just be in a really good quality multivitamin. Make sure it has B12 and B6 and make sure that they're bioavailable and make sure the right form of nutrients. But at the very least, we should all be on a multivitamin. For brain, we need DHA. DHA is part of omega-3. So if you're getting omega-3, you're going to make sure it has a lot of DHA in it. DHA, which isn't also in fish oil, your brain is 60% DHA. So if you don't think you need it, guess what? You're wrong. 60% DHA, get it in there, help it along. So omega-3, fish oils, it doesn't have to be fish if you're vegan, vegetarian. There's other ways of getting the omega-3 and the DHA, but get it in. It helps the cells communicate and increases that BDNF I talked about in exercise. So get that. Vitamin D. And I know you all get your vitamin D levels tested, and then you're like, I don't know why it's low. Not really sure why. It's low because you're not taking it. You got to take it for it to go up. Take your vitamin D. Vitamin D actually turns on 900 genes. And one of its most important jobs is to create and maintain brain synapses. So get the vitamin D. I'm telling you right now, if you come again next year, after I already told you your vitamin D is a 15 and you come back and say, I don't know why it's still a 15. And I ask you if you take any vitamin D and you're like, no, take the vitamin D. Okay. Sorry, little vitamin D rant there. Then the 4th supplement is magnesium. Many people are magnesium deficient and it's critical for brain function. Cool thing about mag is that it can make you a little sleepy, so you could use it at night and it can help you with any sleep issues that you have.